All right, let's talk about one of the biggest financial questions pretty much every American is going to have to answer. When is the right time to start taking Social Security? I mean, the choice you make here can totally change your financial picture for the rest of your life. So we're going to dive in and break down the numbers, the strategies, and the big trade-offs between starting at 62, waiting till 67, or holding out all the way to 70.
But hang on. Before we can even get into strategy, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, right? It's that fear that makes so many people just grab their benefits the second they can. Is the whole system really about to go belly up?
Well, the short answer is no, it's not going bankrupt. Here's the thing. Social Security is mostly a pay-as-you-go system. The people working and paying taxes today are funding the benefits for people who are retired today. And even if the big trust fund reserves were to run dry down the road, projections show that ongoing taxes would still cover the vast majority of promised benefits. So, the key takeaway here is we can make this decision based on logic, not on fear.
Okay, so when you boil it all down, the entire decision comes down to this one simple trade-off. Think of it like this. You can either get a head start with a whole bunch of smaller checks, or you can start later and get fewer checks, but those checks are going to be a lot bigger. Which one wins out? Well, it all depends on how long you end up living.
So to really understand that trade-off, we've got to look under the hood at how your benefit is actually calculated. You'll see pretty quickly just how powerful a little bit of patience can be. And it's actually a pretty simple two-step process. First, the government looks at your 35 highest earning years, adjusts them for inflation, and uses that to figure out what's called your primary insurance amount, or PIA. Now, that's just the baseline. It's the amount you'd get if you retired at your full retirement age. Then, and this is the important part, they take that amount and either permanently shrink it or grow it based on one simple thing: the age you actually decide to start collecting.
And check this out, because the difference is just massive. Let's use a simple example. Let's say your full benefit at age 67 is a nice round $2,000 a month. If you decide to claim as early as possible at age 62, they'll permanently cut that check by 30%. You're down to $1,400. But if you wait until age 70, you get these delayed retirement credits that boost your benefit by 24% above your full amount. So now you're getting almost $2,500 a month. I mean, that is a huge swing in your monthly income.
And this number, wow, this really puts it all into perspective. That monthly check you get at age 70 is a whopping 77% bigger than the one you'd get at age 62. Every single month, for the rest of your life. That's the power of waiting. But of course, the catch is you get those bigger checks for fewer years.
And that brings us to maybe the most critical piece of math in this whole decision, the break-even point. This is the exact moment where waiting finally pays off.
Just think of it as a tipping point. The break-even age is the age where the total amount of money you've received from those bigger, delayed checks finally catches up to and passes the total you would have gotten from all those smaller, earlier checks. If you live past this age, waiting won. If not, starting early was the better move.
So let's put some real numbers to this. If you're comparing starting at 62 versus waiting until your full retirement age of 67, you generally need to live to about age 78 for waiting to pay off. Now, if you're comparing waiting from 67 to 70, that break-even point gets pushed out a bit to around age 82. And for that big one, the full wait from 62 to 70, the tipping point is right around age 80. When you look at it this way, this whole decision is basically a bet on your own longevity.
But, life isn't just a spreadsheet. The pure math doesn't tell the whole story, and there are some really smart, really valid reasons why taking that smaller check sooner might be the absolute right move for you. So let's make the case for starting at 62. Okay, so the most obvious reason is health. If you have serious health problems or just don't expect to live a super long life, then claiming early probably makes the most sense to maximize what you get. For a lot of people, though, it's not even a choice. Maybe you lost your job and you just flat out need the income now. Others just want more money for those early, more active years of retirement, the go-go years. And finally, hey, if you saved a ton and you're confident you're not going to run out of money, taking Social Security early can be a great way to fund your lifestyle. All right, now let's flip the coin, because the case for waiting is incredibly powerful, especially if you stop thinking about Social Security as just an income stream and start thinking about it as a kind of insurance. So if you're in good health and people in your family tend to live a long time, waiting is usually the better financial bet. Now this next point, for anyone who's married, this is absolutely crucial.
When one spouse passes away, the survivor gets to keep the larger of the two Social Security checks. So by having the higher earner wait until 70, you're essentially buying a bigger, lifelong, inflation-protected insurance policy for whoever lives longer. Of course, you need other savings, like a 401k, to bridge the gap and live on until 70, but if you can do it, you're maximizing your guaranteed income for life.
And that really gets to the heart of it with this idea. The smartest way to look at this isn't just about the break-even math, it's about managing risk. And the single biggest risk for most people in retirement is outliving their savings. Delaying your Social Security is one of the most powerful tools you have to protect yourself against that risk.
So you can see there is no single right answer here that fits everybody. The numbers give us a really great framework, but at the end of the day, this is a deeply personal decision. It's all about your health, your spouse, your other savings, and what you really want your future to look like. So the real question you have to ask yourself is, which of these strategies is going to build the best foundation for the retirement that you want to live?